a lot for coming to this meeting. I know that for some of you it's not very easy because it's Columbus Day, and although it's not an official holiday and not a company holiday, some of you have kids at home and would have wanted to take this day off, but also want to be here at this meeting, and you're here. Thanks a lot for being here. And the reason why we're doing this on Columbus Day is really sitting behind me. Because we were all going to take the day off now, but Jim had decided that his monthly meeting was going to be in Newton tomorrow and tonight, and we wanted to have this meeting coincide with them being here, because it's really good to have them in this meeting and also tomorrow at the trade fair. We will look to do it at another day next year. Jim, that's what you said.
We will not do it on Columbus Day or Thanksgiving.
Okay. First of all then, welcome to the reason for the Columbus Day meeting. Jim Casella, our Chief Executive Officer, he's going to speak to us later. He also brought several members of his team. All of them are going to be in our offices tomorrow for the meeting. Most of them are here already. I would like to introduce you to them and ask them to stand up so that you can be recognized. First of all, Curtis Allen, President of Reed Construction Data. Greg Torres, VP of Human Resources. Jane Aboyan, Chief Information Officer. Andrew Reck, General Counsel. Mike Catalanello, Chief Sales Executive. And also here with us today is Salina Labrise, VP of Corporate Communications and PR. Salina, this is the last ever Newton Division All-Employee Meeting. You know why? We're going to change our name. And it's not going to be Waltham Division. It's going to be Boston Division. And we better get used to it before we move to Waltham. So I would suggest that from today on we all try to say Boston instead of Newton, and then by the time we move it'll have become so natural that we're just the Boston Division of RBIUS. So next year we'll have a Boston all-employee meeting in Waltham and not on Columbus Day. The objectives of this meeting are: one, to give you an update on how we're doing as a company on the level of RBIUS and also as a Newton division. Two, we want to present you 3 examples of innovation within our division. We have 3 of our publishers presenting different new products to you. And then the third objective is to answer any questions that you may walk around with. So we have a Q&A at the end of this meeting. Now, it's an honor for me to introduce Jim Casella, Chief Executive Officer of RBIUS, my boss, who is going to talk to us about how we are doing as a company.
Thank you, Marianne. And as Marianne made me promise, we won't do this on Columbus Day next year. So for those of you who have spouses or significant others that are off on Columbus Day, you can block that date out on your calendar. Now, I didn't say we wouldn't do it on the Sunday. No. Now, it's a pleasure to be here with you, and I know I've been up here several times in the last couple of months and seen many of you in the hallways and talked a little bit about some of the exciting things that you have going on. I am really pleased that I think I can say this safely. I'll knock on the podium here, but the worst is behind us in this advertising decline that we all lived through, starting in 2001, and I arrived in January of 2002, and I think we all were hoping to be behind us then. And Marianne got here in April of 2002, and the slide continued. I saw a note last week from Sean Keaveney, who is your head of finance, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Sean sent it and said that for the first time, I guess since the slide began, not only did we have quarter-over-quarter growth in the division, but we actually saw all the forecasts being beat as well. So that is very positive. And, matter of fact, I'd like to give you all a round of applause. It really made the close in September a much easier close than I've seen before, and I think Mr. Miller over here will agree with me on that. You know, it was not only Newton, Chicago, and the new product division, which was Morris Plains. All three of the divisions, which have really been the hardest hit, all beat their RF3 forecast on top and bottom. And that's the first time I can remember saying that since I've been here. So I think there's some light ahead. Now, having said that, I'm going to take you through some of these slides here. This is really a business in transition. It's a change business, and it's not going to go back to where it was. I think if we're waiting for advertising pages to come rushing back in, we are going to be sorely tested in terms of getting to where we want to be. We clearly have strong brands here, but we really need to be able to offer our customers solutions that have many options to them, whether we call them integrated media solutions, or we call them data products, or we call them more working closely with client, whatever we want to call them. And I know each of the publications and publishers have a slightly different term for them. They are here to stay, and they are really important that we acknowledge that we're going to have to work with our customer base in a very different way. Companies that didn't exist 2 years ago, and we didn't even look at them as part of the mix, the search engines, for example, or companies such as Global Spec. Today, really, we have newer competitors. We can't narrowly define ourselves anymore. And we, as a company, really have to be very creative in terms of how we respond to this. And it's not easy, because we're sitting here with a lot of legacy. We look at many of these titles. We publish them for, in this division, some for 50, some for a variety will be 100 years old next year. So there's a lot of history there, and trying to innovate, I think, is really the challenge. And I think I was delighted when I saw that Mary Ann was going to have 3 of the publishers today talk about innovative projects, because I think that's what we're really going to have to do as a company to make sure we stay ahead of the competition, both old competitors but newer competitors out on the road. And I'm going to highlight a little bit some of the innovative projects that are going on really throughout Reed business. In spite of what we've had to deal with, we have been able to find pockets of excellence and to innovate. And I think that's going to be a key to our future. Well, let me take you through. I think you each have a handout here, and actually I got to kick. We didn't catch this one, Selena. And we left blank. If you look at the handout, we said approximately half of the decline. I have half, but it's blank on yours, so it's going to be a little guessing game to see who came closest. But I figured the finance guys was with that. But basically, roughly half of that decline came from discontinued properties. Those would be, for example, the Ashley Home Books, properties like that, that really weren't core to the business, probably had some design issues that made it difficult to see how well they would do going forward. And we made a decision, if we couldn't operate them profitably, that we were going to shut them down. So roughly half of that decline is from there. The print revenue decline has really been, up until now, primarily in the first half, and we are starting to see some recovery, albeit modest in the print pages as we go into the second half here in the last quarter. Good news is our electronic revenues are up 13%, and if we look at just the webzine portion of that, they'd be even up more significantly. We're probably running, Chris, help me out here, 28%? About right on the, I was just looking at the webzines, and several of the titles here are helping lead the way in that regard. If I look at our profitability as a division, we are roughly flat with last year. We take out the innovation projects, and basically that's roughly a little over $3 million in innovation projects. The single largest piece being what's called ReadLink, which I think some of you have heard about, which is a parametric search product that we're building out through our Rockaway or New Products division, formerly Morris Plains. our profit would be slightly up versus last year. Now, having said all that, we actually need to deliver a very large fourth quarter. So September was a good barometer, but the real key for us is October, November, December, where we will finish the year over year up both in revenue and, actually not in revenue, up in contribution and margin versus prior year. It'd be nice if I could have gotten revenue too, Chris, but I don't think that's going to happen now, unless I get a pleasant surprise. Basically, the business is starting to look a lot healthier. You know, you've heard me talk when I've been up here before about yield. Mary Ann has her monthly yield lunches and awards, right? Quarterly, excuse me. As a company, you know, our ad rates are up 4.4%. We need to continue to drive that. There is a balance. We have some books where we need to balance a little better on share as well. I believe with the strong franchises we have, though, we should be able to get some yield increase and some share growth as well. I think I had a conversation with Dan Hirsch when Mary Ann and he were in New York maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I think Design News is a good market to look at. There's lots of smaller customers, or potential customers, prospects really, that are out there that we don't spend a lot of time going after right now. I think the Design News team, though, over the last several quarters, have put in place very interesting programs to go out and try to bring these new prospects in and turn them into longer-term customers. There, I think we can get profitable share growth without trading off yield. Those are the ways that I'd like to see us do it. Bring new customers in. Maybe some of those customers only want to start with us online. You know, maybe they're a young venture-backed, capital-backed company that maybe can only afford $25,000 or $30,000. But you know what? I'd rather they started with us at that level and we grow them into larger long-term customers. So the lifeblood of any publication or media property is the number of new advertisers you bring in. And unfortunately, I think, you know, we lost a little of that hunting spirit, if you will, during the decline because we were trying to hold on to what we had. And that's pretty natural to do. And what I'm saying is let's not just sit back now. Let's go out, let's kind of take the franchise out a little further and see what type of businesses we can bring in and start to form new long-term relationships with. Let's get out a little more to some trade shows, see the new companies that are there. You know, generally when a company gets its first round of venture capital, it goes to a trade show first because it's looking for distribution. And after it signs its distributors, it starts looking then for its overall marketing plans. Maybe we need to be a little more active, not only with our online trade shows, but going out to some of the trade shows and prospecting there, getting their list, and really making sure, because venture capital is back, they are funding, there are new companies starting, and we need to kind of get to them early and grow with them as they grow their business. Our margin, as I said, is up slightly while our ad pages are down. We need to continue to drive margin. At the end of the day, I was in a meeting with Mark Armour, a strategy meeting with our CFO, for the overall business, probably about a month ago. We got into a slight debate about is it better to build or buy online properties? And at the end of the day, you could make an argument, and somebody in the room did, well, you should just give us $100 million and let us go out and build these things. And what Mark said, and he sat back, and he does have overall responsibility for this, Kristen Davis, our CEO, is that the last time he looked, earnings per share drive stock prices. At the end of the day, ours will be a mix of build and buy, but it's clear that we just can't take $100 million and go and build. In some ways, it's almost easier from an earnings perspective to take $100 million and go and buy. It sounds a little counterintuitive, but the reality is we are a public company, and driving earnings per share is important. Our margin has a lot to do with that. The good news I can tell you is that Reed Business US has been a very significant contributor over the last 2 years to the improvement in earnings per share. For example, last year, on a 4% decline in revenue, we were able to increase our contribution by 23%. And you should all be very proud of that. That was second to no division in the company. We had the single largest percentage increase in contribution last year. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have a hard time repeating that this year. But the fact is, we're going to continue to show growth in that. What does that really mean to all of us sitting in this room? Because it seems a little removed from probably your day-to-day. The good news is that it means when we go to look for capital, whether it's to build or to buy, London is a lot more open to the requests coming from Reed Business currently than they have been in the past. I think we had the company some credibility problems in terms of being able to deliver. The more we deliver year in and year out, the better opportunity we have to continue to build the business, to get the resources. In a sense, we have internal competitors as well. We have to compete with LexisNexis in the legal division, Elsevier on the science division, and Hartford on the legal side for capital. There are only so many dollars to go around. So we really have to carry our own weight, and I'm pleased to tell you that the hard work that you've been doing at the division level, at the publication level, is paying off, and it is recognized. So let's just keep it up, and it's not easy, I know, issue to issue or month to month, but you've been able to do it, and I have no reason to believe that we can't continue that. This next chart just gives you a sense of our revenue growth by quarter. The good news is that you see the decline stopping and the actual growth coming in that Sean was referring to in the 90-day forecast. Very positive, and as I said, we're seeing it pretty much across the entire portfolio. So it really is a very good trend. Another reason Reed Elsevier looks to Reed Business overall globally is our cash flow. Compared to businesses like the education business, where you invest significantly off of your balance sheet 3 or 4 years out before you introduce a new elementary school reading program, for example, and you don't know if it's going to be a success or not. Our businesses tend to convert $1 in the door to $1 cash. So our cash conversion is really, as a division, the best in the company. And Reed Business this year is having a very good year on cash flow. Matter of fact, some of the people that are here in Chris's team that work in the collections area have done an outstanding job on RCD. Where Curtis is CEO, we've actually dropped days outstanding by what, over 20 days? Absolutely. Quite honestly, I wouldn't have taken the bet if somebody had given me that bet earlier, before we started the year, that could have happened. I don't think Curtis would have taken that bet. But it really has been. So our cash flow is strong, and I think that's important because it means that the quality of our earnings are there, and overall, we're quite strong as a company. All right, electronic revenues, and this gives you the breakout how we're doing overall and also how you're doing by division. And I'm pleased to say, if you look here at the Newton division, significant growth percentage-wise and in actual dollars. I've been very pleased, and I'm going to cite a couple of the projects we've been working on. Can we even do more? Absolutely. I think there's lots of opportunity in this area, and I think it's going to be an important part of our growth. It's impossible today. I don't even think any small business you go into doesn't have a computer terminal or computer on every desk. And, you know, it's very important for us because more and more of our information is going to be delivered electronically to that person who's working at their desk and finds it part of their everyday workflow. So that's absolutely critical to our future. Our brands are very strong, and I think they will give us a decided edge versus the newer online-only competitors if we handle them properly. You know, the brands have a lot of brand loyalty that have been built up over the years. Someone said more than 50 or 100 years. We really need to take that brand loyalty and find a way to really deliver that customer something that they really find indispensable. Okay, let's turn our attention. The numbers really are only a reflection, and sometimes I feel we spend a lot of time in RFs and other things talking about numbers, and what I'd really like to do is talk a little bit about how innovative solutions through our products, really offer our customers solutions they're interested in, and eventually turn into dollars. I mean, at the end of the day, if you focus your time on creating a customer, and a strong customer, a loyal customer, and you work with those customers, as I said, from when they're first launched until they become large businesses, that's where we're going to be a healthy company. We really need to immerse ourselves through the customer focus on their business and how we can help them. So let's just look at a couple that I'd like to cite here. And you can see one that John Royal is going to talk to you a little bit about, and I'm not going to steal any of his thunder here at RFID, but we're feeling very good about that. Another one that I'm just going to cite overall, one of the initiatives, and it seems a little strange perhaps to some of you, that RBI US is responsible for the US and China. Now, I can tell you how that basically took place. We have lots of great properties, and we felt that there'd be a lot of opportunity for REIT business to grow outside of the U.S. its franchises. Unfortunately, we've never had the strongest infrastructure on the ground in China, so where we've had several publications do fairly well over time, and I think EDN's probably the one that's been there the longest, probably over a decade, probably going back to 88 or... Okay, 10, okay. We were not gaining ground real quickly, and Gerard Vandas, our division president, came to me last spring and said, did I think if we found a partner, we could accelerate that growth? And I said, sure, I think we really could. I said, it's probably the only way we could grow quickly if we had found the right partner and had an infrastructure on the ground. So Gerard and I went to Crispin Davis, and I have to tell you, it was a tough sell. Gerard told me after the presentation that he thought it was less than 50-50 that Crispin would want a partner. I'm still not sure we really convinced him, other than I think Crispin gave us enough rope and said, let's see what happens with this. So he kind of pushed us out the door and said, go ahead. What I am pleased to report to you, by year end, we will have 11 publications and 1 data business in stat in a joint venture arrangement. When we look out at the end of year 3 of the joint venture, those properties should be producing roughly $25 million in revenue and a substantial amount of profit that we will split with IDG, our partner in that venture. We are going to introduce in the first half of next year a number of our construction publications, such as construction equipment, into China, and very possibly we're going to introduce RCD as a data business into China. Curtis is looking at a possible acquisition or a partner to bring us in there. So we see a lot of growth. Why China, you might ask? Why interest is in China? Well, when I look at our portfolio and I look at a number of the electronic titles, or I look at a number of the manufacturing titles, and I think, again, Dan, not to pick on you, I think Design News is a good example. It's one of the books that's getting launched this fall. Much of the growth in the industry we serve probably will happen over the next decade, not here in the U.S., but probably in China. And if you look out and understand how important China will be on the world stage, taking the trusted brands that we've built up and extending their life cycle and extending their brand loyalty out into a marketplace such as China, I think is absolutely critical to us. So it's a key core part of our strategy. We sent probably 3 weeks ago, Andrew, how many people were on that delegation? You and Curtis?
Mark Strauss was there.
10 or so? 10. Okay, 10 of our senior executives to China. 2 months ago, Steve Moylan made a trip, or 3 months ago, for EDN. Steve Worth from ECN has been there. I am really encouraging more and more of the publishers and members of our team to invest the time, invest the effort. It will be worth it to us if we can find ways to grow in that important market. Absolutely. And there are some short-term benefits as well. Without going through a lot of details, the royalties and sales commissions flow back to the U.S. publications. So there's a commission for every page that we sell from the U.S. or anywhere in the world into our sister publication in China, as well as a royalty. So those dollars can come back in, say, for example, the Newton division here, or excuse me, Boston division, right? And we can invest those dollars back into making our brand stronger and stronger on a global basis. So it's a very important initiative, and one that I'll stay very close to. I'm going to make another trip to China the last week of November, first week of December, and I'll probably go at least once a quarter for the next several years. Just again, meeting the people that are going to be working for us there, understanding their market, so we make sure that we are, giving them the information they need to produce these properties. Okay, let's look at some of the themes that are driving innovation. First one, return on investment. I think anybody here that's in the advertising area hears that all the time from customers. They want to be able to measure ROI. They want targeted audiences. They want specific leads generated from those target audiences. They want product comparisons when they're looking, if it's an engineer looking to make a decision on a product to use, they need comparative information. What do we do as a company? What we really do best is bring buyers and sellers together. And then, quite honestly, they're looking for global information. They want a partner that can help them understand where the global market is going, just as we're trying to figure out where our role is in that. These companies are trying to figure that out themselves. If we look at trends, security certainly there, global trade. I think, John, as I said, we'll talk a little bit about RFID. What are some of the business models? Business models are changing. I mean, the search business, search has been around for a long time, but it didn't have a business model. Google and its sister companies in the search area this year will probably do $4 billion, in advertising sales. It's a real market. It exists. What are we going to do? And you'll hear a little bit about this in terms of making our products and services more search friendly. How do we, in a sense, get a part of that share of the marketing dollars? The internet clearly, as a medium, is here to stay in a major way. Every day it becomes more and more essential to businesses in terms of how they actually conduct their business. Subscription data, we're fortunate. We do have a number of data businesses that are subscription driven. RCD is the biggest piece of that with over $100 million in revenues. Jana Boyan and her team are working closely with Curtis Allen and his team to really make sure we're going to be able to deliver the next generation of those products. We have put a significant investment behind Connect, Jane, in terms of dollars this year. When I have Curtis probably knows. Over $2 million. Okay, I was going to say closer to $3. Chris? Yeah, Chris. Somewhere between that. Okay. Into the platform. I think a lot of what you do is you take businesses that have been in print, like the print bulletins. We need to form platforms, and you'll hear me talk about that with eLogic. eLogic is our platform provider for our web initiatives. The Connect platform. What can we do to integrate data from RSVs into that platform for the user? So we're trying to think in terms of platforms as we develop responses. Events, I think events are very important. I think we can do a lot more as budgets come back, as the market improves, to really do more, not only online events, but live events. It's probably an area that we haven't tapped enough. Multimedia, again, it's really just giving people opportunities to access customers, leads across different media, and it really exists. The partnership I touched on, it's not only internal, but it's external. I think we need to be open to partnerships. We clearly want ones that are going to work for us, but that's what being a good partner is all about. Everybody has to give a little bit for a mutual win. It's not a win-lose situation. So let's look at some on the Newton division. And I said I will not steal anybody's thunder here, but I'm just going to touch on some of the innovation that's going on. I think EDN, in fairness to the EDN team, I should say this, EDN probably in the last 18 months has been our fastest growing property in terms of online revenue. And the reason for that, I think, is they've kind of looked and said, what do we need to do to really turn this around and give customers what they're looking for? We did not have a lot of online revenue growth prior to Steve's arrival, and I'm delighted with what we've been able to do there. I think EDN International now is benefiting from that same sort of focus, and I think we'll continue to see tremendous growth there. John, I think on the supply chain side, I think this is a very exciting avenue. I think, though, I'm going to, instead of talking about innovation for a second, just mention that what I've been most pleased with supply chain titles. It's no secret. I mean, I think mod materials handling was under significant pressure, perhaps more so than logistics management. Supply chain management review is a fairly small property, but growing. I think what we've done by putting these together and then adding MHPN is really say, how can we give a continuum of solutions out to the market in a way that makes sense? I think John and his team have worked hard along with Marianne's support to do that. So, I think there's a lot of progress in front of us, but I think have turned a significant corner from where we were. Global trade data, and this is an area that we're looking at. I think we're probably maybe 6 months away, John. It's one that's been identified as an area, and I think the logistics team do a very good job in this area. But we probably aren't going to get to it because we had so many other priorities in front of it, but I think it's one that's very interesting. And this is one we have sitting up here from Craig's team, and Jack's. I really admire this. When it was presented to me, it sounded like a great idea. The thing that I was curious about is, could we really go out and execute it? Because it sounded so good and so compelling, I wasn't sure. And I'm delighted to say that with some support, I know from RCD and I guess also from Professional Builder, Craig and Jack and the rest of the team have really been able to put out a great supplement. I got it on my desk the other day and read it cover to cover. And I'm absolutely delighted. I think it differentiates us in the market, as Craig told me it would. And for us, construction is our strongest vertical. So to do something from our strength, I think is a very good example of how to leverage who we are and what we're all about. So I am delighted, but I will let Craig take you through the story. We were just a small part of it by saying, let's do it. So, but we like good ideas, and we do like trying good ideas. Okay, the Chicago division. And again, this is one now that was identified in the innovation process, construction risk data. It's early, and really not much to report on. And the same with the site equipment demonstrations. I think they're very interesting, and I think they have potential, but now we have to execute against these innovative ideas. I think the one that I can comment on here is Instat Asia. We have signed a joint venture agreement. I signed it last week, and we will start selling reports both in China, but perhaps more importantly to all those companies outside of China that want to enter the Chinese market and want to understand it. So Instat will take a leadership position here, and Mark Kirstein and Jeff Bryce are both very excited about the opportunity. Okay, the media division. This is one that Tad Smith and I both pushed, the broadband video. And I saw a demonstration of it last week, and it was quite compelling. I think at the end of the day, this is my own prediction, you can say you heard it here, I think the Newton division really doesn't have to wrestle with this as much, and it's probably more of an opportunity for the Boston division. And that is, for what were traditionally called news weeklies, and Reed Business has several of them in terms of broadcasting and cable, multi-channel news, or if you look at the portfolio in the UK, there are a lot of weeklies. That's their strength. I think how people get their news in their particular vertical area is not going to be, and we've seen this now for 2 or 3 years, by waiting for a publication to arrive on their desk Monday morning. You know, a number of years ago when I was published with Echo World, that was all we cared about, getting the publication on somebody's desk first Monday morning. Did it get there ahead of PC Week? Because that's the one we felt they would read first. News is really coming in a different way, but it's not going to be a flat medium. Broadband is happening so quick, faster outside the U.S. in some ways than inside in terms of capacity. But my sense is that to be competitive on the news side, even in the analysis that we are going to need a broadband solution. This project really set up to do a news studio approach, and we'll have a small studio in Los Angeles and one in New York. Eventually, I'd like to see this expand out so that it might even be something like EDN, and John Dodd bringing news out again. Hi, John. Welcome aboard again. And bringing news out, but doing it in a broadband environment, not by doing a weekly publication anymore. So I think this is an interesting project to watch. Charlie Coons and his team are doing a very good job on this, but this is one, and if you have some interest, spend a little time, drop Charlie a line, take a look at it, because I think there could definitely be some areas for growth for us outside. I think books that have a frequency like Design News or EDN even, I think could do some things in a news way here. Variety jobs, it's an interesting one. Recruitment has never been big for us with U.S. publications as it has been in Europe, where it's a very large part of the revenue stream. But I think we should look to see where there may be some opportunities. We don't want to go out and compete against James Alma Monster or anything. But if we could find some vertical approaches that would really serve well. And we are doing one on Variety, and we're also doing a job vault, we call it, on Publishers Weekly. And I know some of you are looking at that, I think, here in Newton as well. Our directories, I think, when I look at gifts and decks and things, there's an opportunity to partner with Kelly Search, and we're doing the first test here, and that really is on Design News' directory, where we'll do a Design News electronic directory powered by Kelly Search. We have about $18 million in directory revenue throughout the U.S. If the model works, and we're still in the process of testing that, then we'll kind of move forward. I even think for some of the publications that don't have directories, we may be able to create something very quickly. Craig, you're working on something in that regard. So I think there's opportunities there for us. Morris Plains Relink, I think, is a big bet. And they were hit hardest in the downturn. I don't know how much you know about their properties. In a sense, they're companion properties to many of the titles here. But those properties were always seen as lead generation properties. That was their whole value proposition, was lead generation through bingo cards. A simple picture with a numbered circle. The internet changed all that. Their value proposition, by and large, went away. What we're really doing here is building parametric search first in the manufacturing space. Most likely we'll go into the life science space next. We've even talked about doing construction. Now, we're even open here. We looked at a small life science company we tried to buy. It was a little early. They said, this could be a very big growth area for us. It's a significant bet, and we need to put dollars behind it. At the same time, it's really tied to taking some of that brand equity that exists in some of those properties and turning things around. So you'll probably be hearing more from Todd Baker and Colin and Garrow, asking you for some help, both in terms of driving traffic and branding offline ads and things, and it really is an important effort for Reed Business. Okay, and then finally, Curtis, I didn't mean to leave you for last. Kind of happened that way. I always save the best for last. Actually, here I think we're doing some very interesting things, and one of them is, we talk about advertising. I mean, I love advertising. I kind of grew up in the advertising business. I'm not somebody like Thompson Media that thinks they want to get out of the advertising business. I think we need to balance our business, and people have heard me say that. But if you take a property such as RCD, where it's primarily subscription, and you say, is there another opportunity for another revenue stream? We almost have the reverse. I think there's an opportunity for advertising that's not done in an intrusive way to the subscriber. And I think keywords gives you that opportunity. Fortunately, Curtis agreed with me, so we are actually doing some tests. First on FirstSource, but probably in the Connect property as well. So I think there's opportunities even looking out at the subscriber base to find ways to do multiple revenue streams. I think the key, quite honestly, to a healthy business is one that can provide its customers with lots of options and multiple revenue streams. and a high-quality user experience, whether that's for a subscriber to an online property like RCD or one of your print subscribers. You know, it all goes back to creating that customer, whether it's a reader, subscriber, or an advertiser. We need to make that our end goal. The other parts will come and grow from there. So there's some interesting things that are even happening in this regard. Good news is that little tour shows you there's not a single division of read business in the U.S. that's not innovating. I think by contrast, when I look at our competitors, our traditional competitors, most of them are very far behind us in what we're trying to accomplish in online. Having said that, the bad news side of that, there's newer competitors out there that are going to fight us for that space, and we really have to leverage our assets. And that comes back to the brands we have and the loyalty that those brands inspire in terms of their users and readers. So we need to be smart about this. But I see a lot of better days in front of us. You know, we were a leaner company than we were when I got here in 2002. But I think because of that, we're a healthier company. We really would have not survived in the same way if we didn't make some tough decisions. They weren't always pleasant. They weren't always the ones that Mary Ann or myself wanted to make. But we were trying to look out and say, how can we have a stronger company for the future? And I think we have turned that corner, and now it's a question of really starting to build. So I'm delighted to be here with you today. And I think Mary Ann's going to have the same questions right until all the presentations are done. And I promise not to leave the room, so I will be here. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Jim. Yes, we'll save questions for after. I am going to focus on Boston with you, just going over the objective we had set ourselves as a division and some also concern the whole community going into this year, and then achievements that we made on those objectives as far as I can see, and then also objectives for next year. First of all, under our objectives, we wanted to improve our editorial quality and culture. You remember hearing me talk not only about improving content in print and online, but also about this old negative Connors culture lingering in editorial departments. It's a phrase that I've heard people use with me again after they've heard every now and then. So I think that's stuck in your mind. Well, I really think that we're making a lot of steps there, and that the whole atmosphere in editorial departments is a lot better now. We also have 4 new editors-in-chief, which is a lot. Rick Nelson, who was internally promoted on Test and Measurement World, Michael Evans, who joined us earlier this year on logistics management, and then 2 people that I'm going to ask to stand up, because not everybody has seen them yet. One is John Dodge, the new chief editor on EDN. Where are you? And then one brand new person who is here for the first time today because he starts tomorrow. His name is Mike Verespi, and he's going to work on purchasing. The new ideas that these new people will bring in, mixed with the great experience of people like Karen, Frank, Jack, and Gary, editors that have been with us for a long time and that are doing great work, that all mixed together will just make our whole editorial atmosphere, culture, etc. better. And of course, we've done a lot of other things on that too, and we'll keep doing that, like the web sessions that we have for editors that Karen Field and I have been putting up. The second objective that we had was better internet products and sales, and I can just tell you in one phrase why we've succeeded in that one, and it is because our internet revenue grew with 55% this year, from 3.8 million to 6 million. That's the number that it will be at the end of this year, and I even think it's a prudent forecast. At least that's what Sean told me. So everything I'm telling you now in terms of numbers, achievements this year, they can only get better. More new business. We lost customers when we made the math between lost customers and won customers last year and the year before, it was always negative. This year, thanks to various prospecting programs going on within different teams, and also a pre-lead qualification effort that Susan White has been working on with Mike Catalonello. Through July, new customers exceeded lost customers by 79. So I think that number will also go up between now and the end of the year, which is great. Reporting to advertisers. Very important part of ROI that customers ask us for. We have put into place monthly website performance reports, e-newsletter circulation reports, and starting on design news, even real ROI reports on specific campaigns. We have decided to spend the money in the beginning of this year, to hire someone to do all that work that is now sort of an example for the rest of the company. And I would like the one person that's not always mentioned, but who does that work, to stand up. Paul Scott. He's really great work. Of course, we wanted to meet our financial objectives, and unfortunately, we are not meeting all of them. Specifically not on revenue and yield. Our revenue is down 2.2% versus budget, and our yield is up only 3% over 03, and the goal was 5. However, you heard Jim say our numbers coming better today. We are going to finish the year very strong, and there are a few very positive, or several very positive things to say when you look at the numbers too, such as our contribution, thus our profitability, is up 1%. The margin is up 2.5%, and our e-revenue mix, which means the part of our revenue that is generated through electronic products, is now 12% versus 7.4% last year. Then we had an overall objective, and that's the last one, big one we had, and it was to find a new home for all of us. And we found a great home. Most of you have been there already in Waltham. A standalone building in a park setting, attractive landscaping, 2 courtyards, plenty of parking, conference rooms, a cafeteria with a good chef and an outdoor deck, and many, many other things like a fitness center, an ATM machine, a park shuttle bus, and you name it. I guess everyone's pretty happy with the idea of moving there now, and it'll be exciting to start working there sometime in March next year. We cannot do anything for the move today. You don't have to do anything. It's Nancy Salustro and Glenn O'Donnell who are doing the work. That work is definitely in good hands. They are very experienced when it comes to moving communities within RBIUS. How many moves did you do last year, Nancy?
We did.
Or how many people did you move?
Last year was about a third of the population.
A third of the RBIUS population that you moved. They're preparing construction. There's not too much construction that we need to do, but there's some. That's going to be done in February, and the move will take place sometime in early March. And I guess it won't be until the beginning of next year that we will really have to get into some action ourselves. Looking out to 2005, just one slide with 4 objectives. The main ones that I can see today, of course, financial objectives. We really think we can do that next year because we're much more optimistic today than we were earlier in the year or a year ago. We are going to grow our revenue by 6% next year. We're going to improve our contribution margin again by 1%. And it's not budgeted this way, but we have set ourselves an informal goal of growing our e-revenue again by 55% like this year to an e-revenue mix of 20% next year. That's ambitious, but I know we can do it. Then a successful, smooth move to Waltham, of course, is very important. It's going to be important for all of us. Successful new print products. Craig and John are going to talk about 2 of them. Jim already mentioned MHPN. MHPN is not new because it's been around for a long time, but it's new for us, and we definitely want to make it a success. within the supply chain group. And then we're going to do even more online, because like Jim said, we're doing a good job online, but we can do even more. We will have to do even more because in some cases our online products are sold out and our customers want more. So we need to create more product inventory and talent. Talent, for all of you, I mean all of us are becoming more and more web savvy, and we will continue to do that. And here and there we will also hire people with web talent. But I have, with the management team, put into place two types of recognition that will be for all of us related to our online ambitions, and those are the Newton Medal of Editorial Excellence and the 2005 Web Team Award. And I'm going to conclude this presentation by telling you the details of those two. First of all, the Newton Medal of Editorial Excellence wants to recognize and share and best practices on integrating print and electronic in the coverage of a subject within editorial. It is an annual award that will be given regarding 2004. It will be given out in February next year as an editorial staff dinner. The award is $3,000 for the winning team of maximum 6 members. Editors-in-chief will choose a maximum of 3 entries, and it by and large works as the Neil Awards work on a general basis, but then just for the Newton office and just for this one integration of print and electronic, how do you call it? Category. Paul Tate coordinates this for us, and he is also not eligible for the award. And so if you have any questions about this, you can see what the judging criteria will be. Results in terms of click-throughs are not the primary factors judges will be looking for. It's really all the criteria plus click-throughs. And I am very much looking forward to seeing examples of all our best editorial work. Then, everybody knows our quarterly Yield Improvement Award that we've had now for 2 years. We're going to replace that award by something else. Not because yield is not important. Yield is very important, and it will still be in our focus, and it will still be translated into specific objectives for publishers and salespeople and anyone else who can have an impact. But the internet continues to be our most promising and profitable growth area, and we want to energize everybody even more on that. We need to be creative about generating interest in our sites, developing products to capitalize on that interest. So we are going to change the awards starting first quarter next year. It'll become the Quarterly Web Team Award. The objective is to grow website traffic and e-revenue. The Quarterly Award, same award as we have for the Yield, it will be measured 50% on growth of website traffic versus the same quarter in 2004, filtered page impressions as defined by eLogic and applied on a consistent basis. The other 50% of the measurement will be web revenue, and all electronic products will qualify: websites, newsletters, online data, webcasts, etc. All team members, dedicated, everybody who works for a specific publication, or I should say for not more than 2 specific publications, will be considered member of the team, including the very important people in web operations. Susan Somers and I will work on an email to all the teams before the end of the month so that you will see what it exactly means for you, what your targets are, etc., and how it works. That's it for me. I'm now going to give the mic to 3 publishers: Stephen Moylan, EDN, John Royal, Supply Chain Group, and Frank Riley, Industrial Distribution. I'm not going to come in between all of them. All 3 of them will come here and do their presentation. Exciting, innovative projects. After they're done, I'll come back and we'll do Q&A for all of us. Thanks.